Imogen, which technologies and trends are exciting you most at the moment?
At the moment, I'm really concentrating on the live interaction on stage with the audience, and also with 3D sound, and yeah, just trying to get closer the audience onto the stage, and the stage kind of onto the audience somehow. And when technology kind of brings together the physical and the digital, when the real world comes into the virtual and the virtual world comes into the physical, those kind of boundaries are really interesting to me.
Tell me about the gloves. Is it restricting at all to use them? Do you have to be quite careful not to make an unwanted movement?
Yeah. In the beginning it was quite difficult because I wanted to try to avoid having to, go back and switch anything or kind of complicated moves. I wanted to be really fluid. We were trying to fit too much in the beginning, trying to fit too much into just gestures like something here, something here, something here. And it just got really restrictive, and it was more like you were kind of, tweaking rather than being really expressive. So then we just seems simple now, but we came up with the concept of just using modes. So I go through different modes. So within that mode, you can, pan something or add reverb or make it filtered. And so it's which ones intuitively work within that mode.
Well, it was fantastic to watch. Paul, all this creativity, but is the industry still dying?
The music industry and the record industry are different things. One is part of the other, but both are thriving. And personally, I think that the bit of the music industry that I work in is really exciting and feels like I imagine it did in the Wild West back in the days, because there's so much opportunity and so much changing. And even in the past, to come here and see Imogen do that, I thought was mind-blowing. So from an artist perspective through to a fan perspective, and I think I love to hear artists talking about getting closer to the community, and that's something that we try and help artists do, because not everybody is as digitally engaged as Imogen is. Through to enabling new ways of fans to legally listen and enjoy music.
How do you think what Universal does is going to change over the next decade? Do you think the company's going to look very different in 10 years' time?
I think the truthful answer is we don't really know. I think we already look very different now to the way we did 5 years ago, 2 years ago, even this time last year. I think what we do is recorded music is still the core bit of our business, but it's by no means the only bit of our business. So I think that we believe that we have a skill set that's really useful, and is useful to artists, and it's useful to fans. And that sort of set of skills changes as the landscape changes. So short answer is I have no idea what we'll look like in 5 or 10 years' time. I think that there's some obvious points. I think the digital bit of our business will be dominant. I think we're seeing that in how people are embracing and adopting new sort of services. And when I look at the numbers and the figures at the end of every month, I see that we're moving in the right direction for that. I think we'll definitely be more involved in partnerships than we've ever been. I think fans will help us direct our business more than they probably ever will have.
I think it's flourishing like never before. Everyone on the planet has access to some kind of music making tool. Everyone can express themselves musically or video. It's an explosion of creativity. It's such an exciting time to be alive as a musician. And more, it's just becoming easier and easier for the musicians to go directly to an audience and actually kind of bypass the old school side of things. And at the moment, where it's in the middle, and it's not very easy right now, but it's going that way in the future.
I definitely think that we have yet to nail a really great digital format for a digital generation, and so that's kind of my blue sky goal at all times, really. And I don't quite know what that looks like. I think it will be different things to kind of different groups, but yeah, I think it's important. I think fans want to be close, really close physically at events, which is why I think recorded music and that experience that you can't really replicate offline, and you certainly can't pirate, is really important. I think tools like Twitter and Facebook are really great at letting fans get close to artists, but I also think we want to kind of deep dive into the music a bit as well. Normally the focus is on how technology has really disrupted and harmed the broad music industry, but I kind of see how easy it is now for people to create, and I think that's brilliant. And I agree totally with Imogen that the appetite for music is completely undiminished. It's probably greater than it's ever been. There's a million and one different ways to listen to music, and crucially, it's really, if you have any sort of creative impetus, you can now do that. And I saw a really good sort of real example of that when I was on the train last week. Somebody on their iPad with GarageBand open on their iPad, fiddling around, flipping between that and some Korg program or something, the headphones on, and this guy was obviously really deeply lost in the moment. And I thought, that is brilliant. Yeah, that is something. As a teenager, I saved up for years and years to buy a crappy old 4-track that cost me about 400 quid. GarageBand's £2.99. I think that's a phenomenal leap forward in terms of enabling people to create, and that applies to video and communicating with your fans and being able to do stuff yourself as well.
I'm selling probably less records than I was a few years ago, but the amount of people that come to my shows are 5-fold, 10-fold. So it's just, I guess, the shift in where you make your money.